Part two of our SEO series, helping damage restoration contractors become the best known damage restoration company in your service area by using SEO, is more about telling Google what you're about. So in order to do that, you can create content. Your website is the hub of that. The website homepage is really about your company and about an overview of who you are as a company, what your team looks like, your trucks, some of the services you provide, a basic overview of reviews from other people that have used your services, and also just telling more about your brand itself and the services that you provide. Not going in too much detail, but your homepage is really that hub of where everything starts. And think about it as directing traffic. So if somebody comes to your homepage and they want help about water damage, you want to be able to send them to a page about that. So that goes into the next step. You want to make sure you make it very clear for Google to understand what services you provide. Most damage restoration companies out there will put a services page or an overview page of the services they provide, and they'll put them in bullet lists or maybe a little bit more context about it. But what you have to do is actually create a page for every single service that you provide as a damage restoration company, whether that's water damage, flood cleanup, mold removal, mold testing, asbestos, fire damage, smoke, odor. All of those things need to have their own page and at least 500, 600, 700, 800 words of content about those services that you provide. You don't want to go too wordy. You want to put some bullet lists in there. You want to put some images in there. You want to put some additional details, and I'll tell you about that, those technical details in just a second here. But you want to have a service page that talks about every single services that you have. If that's 20 services, then make 20 pages about those specific services. And that's how you can get Google to understand that you are an authority in that service. The next piece of this is that now that you have the services, you want to create a service overview page or a service area overview page. And what this page is areas that you service in your local area. So towns, neighborhoods, if it's a large metropolitan, suburbs, things like that. You don't want to just say, hey, I provide services in this small town, because most of us have 30, 40, maybe even larger service areas that we try to cover. And Google needs to know that not only do you provide a service, but where do you provide that service? So we recommend creating location pages that highlight all the services that you provide in that specific area, and then you can link back to the service page from that page. You also want to use, on those location pages, use driving directions. So if you were if your business is located in the suburbs of Chicago and you're trying to rank for Naperville, which is not your main area, you want to do driving directions from Naperville to your Google Maps listing or where your business is located. That creates local relevancy. And there's a lot of more complex strategies that you can do on these location pages, but the idea here is you want to create a location page for all of the main towns that you provide services in, and then highlight all the services that you provide in that town. The final piece of telling Google what you're about is the technical details of how these pages are structured. Every page should have what's called an H1. H1 is basically the title of that page. And think about it. So that book behind me right there, if I had multiple titles of that book, it's very unclear of what that book is about. So when you create a page for water damage restoration, you want to make sure it says emergency water damage restoration services provided in main town, right? So you want to make it very clear by having just one H1 on that page. You want to have a title and description for that page, and that's what's called meta title and meta description. The meta title should include the primary keyword for the service that you're trying to rank for that page, such as water damage restoration company or water damage restoration services. And then on the second piece of that, put your company name there. You can put some location in there if you can, but you're kind of limited on the number of characters that are going to show up, around 70-ish. And so you want to be as specific as possible, not make it too long. The next component of this is obviously the content on the page. I said before, maybe start with 500 words, But really where you want to be is kind of evaluate what your competitors are doing in that area. And there's some tools out there that you can do an audit to say, oh, the top 5 competitors in this area actually have 1,000+ words on their page. So you want to kind of mirror that and get close to that. You don't want to add a bunch of fluff just to add fluff, but you want to add helpful content in there. You'll also want to break that page up into subheaders of content. So if it's about water damage restoration, you could also have subheaders about common water damage problems, a subheader about ways to clean up water damage, our process of water damage restoration, and break that up so that it's readable in bullet lists, and you'll get much better traction with that. Then finally, you want to make sure that you have a video embedded of that service that you provide. So if you provide mold remediation services, do a short video that's uploaded to your YouTube channel, embed that into the page, because Google loves to use their own properties to help a page rank and get indexed itself. So this is the end of part 2 about telling Google about where you're at. The next training video will be much better and talk about, I shouldn't say much better, all these training videos are great, but it will talk about creating helpful content, and I'll give you 10 blog articles that you absolutely need to create on your website, along with some additional supporting content.